Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Jones, and I am the host of GT Live. Welcome. Today is Pip Day on GT Live. We are playing Pip. We are giving away Pip. We're talking about Pip. We're interviewing people from Pip. We are playing Pip in the background. We are giving away 4 codes, 2 for Wii U and 2 for Steam. The lovely Elise Willems will be in the chat talking with you guys. So let her know good questions that you want to ask the staff. And not only that, but what your console of preference is. And you will have questions later on in the show for Mr. Mark Gomez, who is the creator of Pip, and Sharif Morse, who is the CEO of TikTok Games. And we have Kathy Camacho, who is killing it in the game right now. I'm worried we're going to run out of game before we finish the stream because she is just bombing. Apparently, this is not her first time at the rodeo with Pip. I'm assuming she's very well versed in these environments, and it's just coasting. So you guys can hopefully one day strive to be as good at Pip as she is. But yeah, let's get talking about the game. Congratulations, you guys. So you just launched. We chatted just before the show, 5 or 6 days ago?
Yeah, 6 days ago. Tomorrow it'll be a week that we've been live on Wii U and Steam, and I can't believe it. Like, the response has been great. So
yeah,
we're
front page.
Yeah, if you go in the eShop right now, you'll see us right underneath Splatoon, which is absolutely awesome as well. But yeah,
you might accidentally click on ours instead of Splatoon. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, you know,
intentionally click on it.
Well, they're 2 very different games. You know,
Yeah,
like some people like platformers, some people like shooters.
Absolutely.
So why Wii U? Maybe we can start there. What was it about that console specifically that you were able to launch not only on the console but right when you launched on Steam as well?
That is a very good question. So the way we were kind of looking at this game when Mark brought the initial concept over is we felt like, you know, the game is really cut out of the DNA of Nintendo. You know, we really felt like this was kind of like the same games that we grew up playing, and we felt like, you know, it had to be one of the lead platforms for Pip. So with the tools that we had too, we used Unity as our middleware solution. You know, Wii U was something that we could do first, and then kind of we still have other plans that we want to support other platforms. But,
the Wii U community has been really great for us too, and so that's one thing that was really nice about, you know, putting it out on Nintendo is there's a lot of feedback you get from those people. They really like to champion your cause, and so it was a really nice thing to start out with.
How have you experienced that in the past? Like, how have you come to know that the Wii community is really great in that regard on previous projects you worked on or just on Pip?
No,
Kickstarter, even
Okay.
as early as the Kickstarter campaign, like, you know, the websites, the Nintendo websites, were jumping all over Pip like early, and you know, we were like, wow, we're getting such a great response.
There's a bunch of Nintendo websites, and they all really want to feature as much as they can on the indie titles. So it's really nice to see that coming from Nintendo.
Yeah, and they message us all the time like, what's going on? Tell us more. You know, how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? What's the next big announcement? You guys got to keep your momentum. Like, they were coaching us through our Kickstarter and really helping us
Nintendo used to
there.
be really first party, but they really have been pushing us, and it's really nice to see that turn on Nintendo.
So you are the creator of Pip.
Yeah.
How did this little guy happen? Where did this idea come from?
Well, there's lots of ways we've approached it, but I mean, for me, the way I came up with the game was that I used to be an animator at another company, and I did pixel games at WayForward, and I did a lot of games that were different resolutions, and what was nice about that is that all your characters can do different things depending on the resolutions, and that was kind of the basis behind the game. And, you know, I grew up doing retro games, playing retro games, and, you know, it's something that, you know, is part of my childhood at the same time part of my adulthood. So it was nice to bring that into my own game.
Yeah, and I think, you know, kind of adding on to that, anybody who's not familiar with it and are kind of watching the gameplay right now, you know, you're seeing like Pip as a single block at some points, and when you see him as a block, he's basically just one pixel. You gain the ability to evolve into an 8-bit character. So this is kind of like Mark's evolution as he's building art. So when he started at WayForward, I was at WayForward too at the time, and we were doing Game Boy Advance titles. So there was a lot of restrictions and limitations that he had to use then, and then, you know, the platform kept evolving. It became like the DS and then 3DS, so he had a lot more liberty, and so that's kind of the things that he really liked about, you know, the initial concept of Pip was having those evolutions in there.
It's fun working in those limitations too, and that's kind of where it brings us back to the moral of the game, is that, you know, you can evolve, you can grow, but there's different advantages of each level. So it's not something where you just want to be the biggest. It's not like Mario. you want to de-evolve. And the whole moral behind the game is that it doesn't matter what your resolution is, you're always special. And so
yeah, so if you were
that's
watching
kind of the idea
the,
behind
That's
it.
beautiful.
so if you're watching the gameplay now, you saw like there was a 16-bit just hacking and slashing away at those blocks. Kathy was just devastating all those, making it look really easy. And then he de-evolved so that he could be the 8-bit Pip that was like way faster, so that when the collapsing walls were coming in, you could just blow past all that. And now Kathy was going to demonstrate the boss fight.
Oh, nice.
What?
So that could be an excellent mantra for the console wars. It's like it doesn't matter if you have the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. It just matters
What's inside.
Exactly, what's inside.
Well,
which I guess is
know,
the same
and
argument.
That's a good point, because like honestly, like a lot of the times, console games go out with a lot of flash and flare, and the gameplay's lost, right? And the thing that old school games have, the same things that that when we talk about cut from those early Nintendo games, the gameplay was always first. If it wasn't fun with a D-pad and 2 buttons, it wasn't worth building in the first place, right? So that was kind of what this was going to represent. In the beginning, it was just kind of like making sure that the gameplay came first, but the gameplay was constantly evolving as we were doing it. Like Kathy was shepherding us all into like different, hey, stay on this direction, and make sure that this is fun. But Pip as a game design went through so many evolutions itself too.
One gameplay element that I honestly wasn't predicting, that actually was I was surprised when I learned, when Elise was really taken by the game and kind of like taking us through how it plays, was that there are restrictions in when you're able to move between forms.
Yes.
You can't just do it on a dime. You can't just change back and forth if you want to.
Right.
Did that maybe seem too easy when you were building stuff and you're like, we should maybe add things in the environment that they have to get to in order to traverse the world, or was that just kind of an organic evolution?
That's a
We
really good-
experimented with it.
We did
at one
experiment
point. We
with it.
experimented with everything at one point.
Kathy could probably explain this one pretty well because she was like one of the biggest advocates for don't change that, because what we had was very special, we thought.
What was the question? Sorry.
I
was dying.
See, this is what I do.
a boss
I'm
fight
like,
and
oh,
answer
you know what?
questions.
You're not talking enough over there. I'm just going to get you, to
He's
die real quick.
asking
so you
about
can
the
talk.
Evo Devo, and that was one of the things that half the office liked it, half the office didn't like it when you could do it manually. And so that was one of the things that we decided, this just can't work because it's just too open-ended for the players. People need a little bit of leading when it comes to games. And,
Yeah, and then it's just like a lock and key mechanic that's really can be tedious at times. You're constantly cycling through to get to the right evolution. It's like searching for your keys. That's Kathy's analogy. I'm totally just pulling it out from I quote Kathy Camacho when I say this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like searching for keys. So
It's like I see this thing, evolve, devolve. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll be here. Okay, let's go.
But we have really good level designers, so why not just go ahead and put the confidence and trust into them to create puzzles that are going to be meaningful and have that Evo Devo be ingrained in the level design instead of some kind of just inventory switch that doesn't make it feel like any kind of evolution in platforming, to be honest.
So this game, you were mentioning before, that one of the reasons it's exciting that it's on Nintendo is that, we grew up with, 8-bit games, 16-bit games. This is a celebration of classic games. Not necessarily if you're 10, and you own a Wii U and, you've already played a little bit of Splatoon and then you see this game and, okay, I'll maybe check this out. How does that feel to know that, like, a lot of the references that you're making to classic games, a lot of the inspiration behind this is just completely lost on somebody who grew up with, games of all types? Do you appreciate the fact that somebody could play this game and to them it's just a game? It's just another game. It's not really referencing anything.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely. I feel like what I want to do is separate this game from trying to be part of that retro bandwagon. I think one thing that we're trying to do with the story is mainly talk about the resolutions and how that ties into his character development, and not so much just be nostalgic for nostalgic purposes. And so, you can see a bit of that in the animation. We could have done just traditional pixel animation. Like Shreve said, we both come from like really old school pixel, animation, but we chose to do something that's a little more flash. And the purpose behind that is to make sure that all the characters blend in together. So even though it doesn't have that retro animation style, it's there mainly for the character development and for having more emotion behind a single block.
And you see, how do you give a single block any kind of character, right? If it's just hopping as just this stationary square that doesn't
Yeah.
have. But now he's kind of got this breathing.
It's got
that's
squash
happening.
and stretch. He can react. But
There's that squash and stretching, and Mark is like, he went to CalArts, so I hear squash and stretch, like all this traditional animation stuff. So.
Can I get like a Pixel Pip shirt that's like, this is Pixel Pip angry, this is Pixel Pip happy, this is Pixel Pip, it's just
That's
the
an
block
idea.
every time.
I love that. Oh my God, that's brilliant. Do you need a commission off of that?
No, it's all yours.
All right,
it's all you guys
excellent.
came all the way out here to show off the game. We appreciate it.
You're gonna have to come by like our PAX South, or not PAX South, sorry, PAX Prime booth, and then you could get like that, because we're totally gonna make that T-shirt.
Sure.
I am gonna make that shirt.
you'll be our
Like,
meme generator.
I'll be really happy if you see your ideas flourish in the world. There's no greater gratification than that.
That's just awesome.
So side-scrolling games, I think to the untrained developer, to us silly journalists who look at these games and we're like, all of game development is equal and easy and pieces of cake, and we have the tough jobs. You guys clearly have very, very difficult jobs ahead of you,
easy.
Producing these games.
This was hard.
Side-scrolling is something that you see pop up in the indie genre a lot. Is that easy or easier in any way? I mean, nothing's really easy in game development, but compared to maybe like an isometric game or a top-down game or games that mix perspectives that way, is platforming just kind of like a simple approach to take?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, like, there's all sorts of challenges with platforming, but more importantly, when you're doing things like having level designs for 3 different characters in your world, basically, this type of platforming, I mean, if you were just doing a cut and dry, copy and paste job on somebody else's, platforming game, then yeah, that might be easy because there's no real design challenges. But for something like this, you have design challenges, like how do I make all 3 forms meaningful in this one level, because a player could switch between all 3 of these forms. So, and then how do I make it so that they don't get stuck, also. So there's like, it's always, as long as you're evolving platforming as a genre, I think that you can always re-challenge yourself to make something, unique and interesting, and it just won't be cut and dry.
I would think of it like playing chess. It's easy to get into. Everyone can do it, but it takes a lot to master it. I mean, you'll see a lot of platformers out there, but there's nuances into details when it comes to running speed, jumping heights, how long it transitions to get down, wall climbing, all of this stuff. And then we're doing it with 3 different character types. So I would say it can be easy, but people who really appreciate platformers will know if you know what you're doing is right.
Yeah.
Love the backgrounds in the game.
The backgrounds are gorgeous. These guys that did the back, Mark, with that pixel art direction eye is kind of really assembled like an all-star team of animators and pixel artists for the backgrounds. This is Sven that did this one, or?
I think so. We had a mix of 2 guys, Sven and Mads. But it's very hard to find pixel artists these days. Really good ones. It's a dying art form, especially like the super traditional ones. And to find these guys is like trying to find Rambo out in the forest. So,
wow. But I mean, once you do find them, you can potentially keep working with them. I imagine, like you said, you guys, met when you were both working on pixel stuff,
Yeah,
and now
yeah,
you guys
definitely.
are still working together. Have you found that if you meet people where you're working in development that kind of share your aesthetic and your dreams and your visions, and you tend to work with those people more and more?
Absolutely. Like, I mean, and like even some of the teams like Way Forward, that's just up in Santa Clarita from our North Hollywood, they have really amazing pixel animators, and so guys like Eddie and Elazar, I'm forgetting everybody's last name right now. I really want to do those shout outs to those guys, and I'm like, Eddie's Moreno, yeah, and Elazar
Del Rosario.
Del Rosario. So I mean, those guys worked on Shantae. What is it? The Pirate's Curse, right?
DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So these guys are awesome, and a lot of their work a lot of their animation is in here as well. And even Eddie created like a lot of the enemy designs for even this. Kind of looking at some of these.
We
guys.
definitely went through our bank of people who we're very familiar with, who we know can do a lot of quality.
Yeah.
So as long as we're name dropping, what other 8-bit, 16-bit games did you guys grow up with that still stay with you, whether it's from a design perspective or just a gameplay perspective that may have possibly inspired some of the stuff that we're seeing in Pip?
Oh, I'll let you answer that.
I got the boring answers. I mean, Super Mario World,
Right?
Pretty much. Played some Donkey Kong Country. River City Ransom to me I don't know if you played that game, but that was my NES. That was my game. And if you see the way I do character design, it's very much like the big head type of squatty characters. That's, to me that game ages nicer than something like Streets of Rage. Both are fighting games, but I really like the clean cut animation style. And
Hey, Kathy, what about you? You got anything on your wrist you want to
I have
show
a
for
game that
representing?
sticks with me forever.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guys,
know if I
can
can see
anyone
from there.
identify those? Should we zoom in? Can we?
Yeah,
zoom
can
in?
we zoom in, Ian?
Ian's got to get out of the booth
Yeah,
soon.
camera too.
Let's get him over here.
Oh wait, it's going right.
We're
to
gonna
the camera.
totally complicate things. Who can guess what that is? Can we give away a code for guessing what that is? No.
That is definitely our first tattoo close-up on GT Live. There's no question.
Look
Boy,
at
I
that.
Autofocus is not treating you well right now.
At least you know what it is. You're looking at it.
No, I can't tell what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kid Icarus.
It's Kid Icarus.
Oh, nice.
Oh! Let me.
Okay, okay.
No, I still don't
So
get
this
it.
is the eggplant wizard turns you into
Eggplant.
Oh, of
eggplant
course,
thing.
the eggplant wizard. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I see it.
Chat's blowing up. Eggplant wizard. Eggplant wizard.
Stupid.
Everybody's like,
Someone
is
said
there a
dick
code
butt.
involved? Yeah, but that's
I can
a-
see it.
I think that's one of the inspirations too.
Those
'cause
photoshops will start coming in of your
You could-
wrists
Yeah,
with
dick
dick
butt.
butt on it.
We're just gonna let them go. Look,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, there is kind of a cherubic quality, if you will. I don't know if it's a word, to Pip.
Yeah, I mean,
He's an
16-bit
adorable little
Pip,
guy.
He's got like the
Die.
big cheeks for
You're
it
right.
too. You just want to squeeze him.
It's like a giant baby.
He's pretty cute. He kind of looks like Mark with the hair too. Like up
Nothing at
until
all.
he got a haircut for the show, by the way. So that was kind of awesome. I should have shaved. Kind of.
Thank you. Yeah, I should have gotten a haircut this week. E3's next week. I'm gonna be all dragged out and disheveled during E3.
We'll
So
be passed out on the floor in downtown Los Angeles. You'll see us there, like.
you can count on it.
I
So did
will
you
be
get
there.
those when you were like 10 or what?
Ah!
Is Kid Icarus just always been your battle cry?
I got this when I was like 25, but
You're dating yourself, Kathy.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Kathy.
That's like yesterday.
So was it I love Kid Icarus so much I have to get Kid Icarus tattoos,
Yeah.
or I really want tattoos, I might as well make a Kid Icarus?
No, I grew up playing that game. It was one of the games that I remember playing with my sister. We would compete to see how far we would go because we only had the Nintendo, and we got sick of playing Super Mario Brothers. So we're like, okay.
Yeah, you hear that?
We only had like 2 games. It was Kid Icarus and Super Mario. So we would just keep playing it, and it was just a game that stuck with me because I remember playing Super Mario and everything was side-scrolling, but with Kid Icarus, you're going up. So I was like, oh, this is so awesome.
You should see her play it now too. She'll do live streams every now and then. I'm like always amazed because
Of Kid Icarus?
Yeah, that game's
The
hard.
speed
man.
run? Oh, yeah, no, that's-
like I'm like this game's really hard. She makes it look easier than. The way
I think that's
she's
one
playing
thing
it.
that doesn't really resonate for me when I recall games that I appreciated when I was a kid is like the difficulty factor between some. Like I'll go back and play old 8-bit games and just breeze through them, and then I'll play something like, Kid Icarus.
Yeah.
Just be like, man, or the original Super Mario Brothers is difficult. Like if you don't warp all your
That
way,
is-
cheat your way through that game, and you try to take every level at a time, like that's tough. I mean, there's people who can just bomb through the game in 5 seconds, but so could you finish Kid Icarus faster than Adventures of Pip?
Unlike.
I haven't tried.
Maybe we'll do a dual stream when you come back. So really quick, let's talk about TikTok. So you guys, how long have you guys been around? I went to your website and saw some other projects that you're working on. Pip was the only one that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
You got some stuff on iOS.
We have a lot of iOS. As a matter of fact, company strategy wise, we started the company about 4 years ago, and it was just with no money. as a lot of stories begin, we had no money, but we were like, we really want to start a game company. Mark was still working at Way Forward at the time. Kathy was working at Disney at the time, and basically I went and started just kind of pitching stuff to see what I could get, like in terms of money to build a company. So I pitched 2 iOS titles for one was for a digital comic book, and then the other one was for a dance game or a music game. And so I ended up getting both contracts, but I had no team. So I was like, this is great. So now I need to assemble a team. So I started getting some people together from like Nickelodeon, Larry Kirshner, and then like Jones from Way Forward Technologies, and like we started bringing all these great talents in. Kathy started. She started commuting from San Francisco basically into
Wow.
Santa Clarita,
Not San Francisco,
Sorry, San Jose, Bay Area. So she was commuting for the Bay Area. Yeah, we all kind of came together, and I think the goal was always to go back to console. We always kind of wanted to go back to console. The market was clearly shifting to iOS, and we were good at it. We understood it. But at the same time, that's not exactly where our hearts were. So now Pip is kind of our labor of love. This was the thing that was growing in the background the whole time. And then when we saw, the Yacht Club guys go out with Shovel Knight on Kickstarter, we were like, Sean, how'd you do that? That's kind of awesome. And he was like, dude, you should totally do Kickstarter. That's smart. So we started planning for our Kickstarter so that we could get back into the console world. I'm getting long-winded, huh?
Have you met anyone that's been inspired by your Kickstarter? I mean, there's got to be some people out there that have played your game and you're like, hey, they can do it. This game can do it.
It's an amazing community. We had like a lot of people kind of, we were giving support to each other. And even now afterwards, we're like one of the success stories. So everybody's like, will ping us, can you mention us in this next update? We're like, hell yeah. Oh God, we remember that. That was painful. We'll do it for sure. So we'll try to bring up everybody that's in the midst of their Kickstarters. And our backers love it too, because then they get to see what other games are coming out. So I guess, that's the long answer of how the kind of company got started. So we started 4 years ago with iOS titles like About My Dog and Pandas and things like that. But they were all work for hire stuff, except for the one about my dog.
So this is definitely the biggest project you guys have undertaken with the company so far.
Absolutely. And I mean, we
just can't wait to get right back into another one, right? Now that you launched, just Adventures of Pip 2.
Well, we want to make sure that, when you have a title like this, we want to put significant updates out there, for people to really enjoy and really get in the world. And the game is doing well, so there's no reason why we couldn't, just say thank you by, putting out some updates to keep people excited about it. You look at and I keep bringing these guys up, Yacht Club, but what I love about what they're doing is they're just building on their brand. They're not looking at Shovel Knight 2 right now. They're looking at, hey, let's add more content to, Shovel Knight 1, just so that everybody who bought it goes, yeah, man, I got my money's worth, really got my money's worth, and
especially with Kickstarter and having backers, like having that longevity is definitely something. You have a community, you want to keep them happy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch over to Ian, who's in our control room, just to say hi to Ian really quick. Hi, Ian.
Hi. How's it going?
See, he's got his own camera in there and everything.
look at that.
If he gets lonely, we can chat with him. Ian, are you ready to sit in that chair for 3 days
14
straight,
hours a day.
bringing everybody E3 coverage next week?
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I just realized that part of why we cut to me, I knew this, but part of why we cut to me inside baseball is to hide the person walking up on the wide. But you can see them. What?
You just realized that
No,
now?
I knew that. I knew that part. The part I realized was you can see them on the monitor anyway. Because you can always see my wide.
I can see who on the monitor?
Matt Blair.
You can see him.
Matt Blair's here. Hi. It's like a magic trick.
Hey guys, I'll slouch a little bit. Hang on.
Oh, Ian, you
We have
love
no
to
cameraman today.
spoil things, don't you?
Yes.
What's up, Matt Blair?
Hi.
Thank
Not
you for
much.
joining us.
Thank you.
I brought Matt Blair up on stage for really quickly before we hit the
guys.
middle part of the show for a segment called Number 11, which I briefed you guys a little bit before, where we talk about our top 10 list for the week, and the entry that sadly did not make the list became oh so close. This week we are, of course, it's the week before E3. We always do our top 10 anticipated games of the show. Tough to gauge the word anticipation, what that means. Kyle Bossman hates it. He's just like, it doesn't mean anything. But it really is interesting to quantify, to look at all of these games and really ask, there's incredible games that are coming to the show, but we're just not really anticipating them because it has a lot to do with how much have we seen, how much do we know, what are we really looking forward to at that specific announcement. And we had some shuffles. We actually had something come in. This was at the 10 slot. We had something come in right at the last minute that we were like, okay, fine, we'll put that on the list, and bumped out Star Fox.
Yeah. I wasn't here when this happened, so I accept no responsibility for this actually happening.
What is it? Is it a remake? Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? Is it a reimagining,
None of that matters,
a
and that's
reboot?
why we should anticipate it, because it's
Right?
almost anything that they could say would be exciting. Almost anything.
there's no better way to anticipate a game or build anticipation than to show somebody playing it and just blur the screen out.
Yeah.
Just be so balls to be like, like, I wonder if they literally shut. Did you see this video with Miyamoto and then like he's clearly playing Star Fox?
Oh yeah, I saw.
You know,
it.
it's
So
like,
yeah,
he
before they
turns
decided
around.
to even reveal it, even
Right.
like
Yeah, it was like a teaser. It was in a direct that he was kind of like at the very end. He's like, "Oh, hello,"
Yeah.
and you're just like, "Star Fox."
Yeah, so this is it right now. So it's just like just chilling. You know, this is just what he does all day.
Oh.
Just like just playing
It's
games.
kind of
and it's
blurry.
so
Like, you-
blatantly obvious. But also, I think that Nintendo.
Wait, that's more blurry than I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time you just kind of like, oh, here we go.
But I think honestly that Nintendo just doesn't realize that they still have the fans from the N64 era and before.
Absolutely.
I think they blurred that out, being like, "Oh, only certain people are really gonna know what it is." And, 5 seconds later, the entire internet's exploded, saying "New Star Fox." But why would you announce it like this?
What was the last
they
Star
didn't
Fox?
even
Was that
announce
the
it.
one with the dinosaurs? The one before? this one?
No,
Adventures on the GameCube. There was one since. Well, technically they did 64 3D
There was Assault.
since then. but
Assault
then
was after the dinosaur one.
on the
Right.
DS,
and that was
yeah.
the big one. Was that
On DS.
you could platform and run and gun and then hop in a ship and then take off.
Kind of
so-
more back to the roots as opposed to that weird segue into the GameCube. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a bit of strange Star Fox. I don't know.
the rare
Guys,
game,
even Star
Yeah.
Fox.
the rare game that was not all that good.
And then as we're showing now is we got a remake or a reboot or a remastering on the 3DS. So Star Fox is still in the collective gaming consciousness. We're talking about kids growing up and being familiar with franchises. Possibly, I could see kids. It's what Fox? I've never heard of this before.
It's like,
Oh,
it's that one
Sadie's.
from Smash Brothers.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's cool that Smash Brothers character finally got his own game. Nice. Wow.
Oh, is that real? Could that really be happening?
It's the internet, man. There's got to be at least one of those comments out there.
That is a thing.
But yeah, I mean, the thing with doing our number 11 segment is that there's no way we can say this and not upset people. So of
No.
course, there's already people blowing up and shit.
Of course.
Very disappointed. There are games on this list. I mean, I think it was 18. We got the list down to. It was like these are 18 games we are no doubt anticipating. We had to chop 8 of them, and every single time we would like reminded like, what? That's not on the list. We would freak out. Just to throw out there for you guys in chat, Just Cause 3 also did not make the list. I would probably put it at number 12. But just to put, if you guys know me, I am just beyond excited for that game. Still not enough to be our top 10 anticipated games of the show.
It's hilarious because all we're doing right now is losing credibility. But I promise you, the list is worth watching at the end of this.
But
week.
again, you can imagine like what those 10 games are.
Yeah.
Like
You got
what,
to do the list by genre. You could
It
be
was
like the
such a
top
crazy
10
conversation.
anticipated by this genre.
top 10 independent platformers of
gotta be
pixelated
like-
characters at E3 2015.
that have evolution and de-evolution. Then we're number 1, right?
Right.
We got 1 through 10 on that one.
The de-evolution is key. You have the evolution. That's everybody does that. It's they're going backwards in time.
That's
it's a big
true.
deal.
I mean, that is kind of the unique thing. One of the unique things about this is being able to devo, back down, and that it has meaning. I do like that message that Mark was putting out there, about how every evolution is important. Even the smallest heroes. Sometimes the pixel is.
I got a little
mightier
misty on
than
that one, man. That was
Did
was
you
great.
really?
Oh yeah,
I
that
was working it on that one. I was trying. I was like, let's get the strings going.
So before we roll our trailer at the midpoint of the show, and covertly, inside baseball, Ian, we roll, the only reason we show you a trailer is so the person in this chair. No, we're GameTrailers.com,
true.
that's why we show trailers.
No, I will be gone. Though.
But before we kick you out, why do you like Star Fox? I mean, what is it about this series that? I mean, I love Star Fox because it was amazing on the Super Nintendo. I mean, that was one of the most technically advanced, fascinating titles to play on that system. Like, I can't believe what I'm doing right now. Actually like navigating this space and flying around. But why do you think nowadays people can still want to recapture that magic and bring Star Fox to the Wii U?
If we ran a survey or something, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that all of it is nostalgia. But on the same thing, like straight from the Super Nintendo, there were a lot of shooter games kind of like it on like the Genesis, but I never had it. The Super Nintendo was just kind of my thing at the time. But there were no games that had as much character as Star Fox did. Even on the Super Nintendo, you had all of your wingmen talking to you and building personality, and obviously they nailed it on the 64 way better. But it did a lot better job of actually just kind of building characters within this game that was also fun to play.
Yeah, it
And
kind
that
of
was
felt like you
rare.
had buddies with you, when you were playing it. It's true, you weren't in it alone at times. If you were discouraged when you were playing, you kind of had like the story elements, so constantly bringing you back up, and you really felt that first kind of team cohesion, with NPCs, and I loved that part about it as well. I thought that was one of the best things, one of the most charming things about Star Fox, and that's like totally against my mantra. It's like, don't think about just the story, just it's got to be gameplay too, but like.
But it was a good mix. It was a really good mix early on, I would say, and
Yeah.
like they put out comics and Nintendo Power and stuff like that. I don't know if any of you guys got into that stuff, but it had extended universe, which for something in that era, ridiculous.
That
It's
if
insane.
you've watched,
God, I miss
Pop Fiction
Nintendo
has
Power.
bled into the F-Zero series, allegedly,
Yeah.
potentially, like other characters popping up.
Yeah.
And of course, we talked about Smash Brothers, so people know Fox. But yeah, hopefully, and it's a game. We've seen Miyamoto playing it, blurry, but it is definitely a game that we can.
We've seen
most likely
Nintendo
expect.
show that franchise proper love before, and hopefully they remember that as much as we do. And that would be why I'm anticipating this. That's why I think it should have been on our list.
And then another reason for you guys, more Inside Baseball. This is the Inside Baseball episode of GT Live. More evidence that the GT countdown is the GT countdown. That's not only who is currently employed at GameTrailers when that list is brought up, but who is at work that day.
Yeah.
And if Matt Blair had been in that room, who knows? You would have gotten to fisticuffs to get Star Fox.
Probably.
Well, I
They
just
waited
want to
till
point
you're
out,
gone, man.
while we were in that room, Star Fox did make the list. It did wind up at number 10.
Yep,
And
that's
then
true.
something sneaky.
More deliberations
Maybe
and-
maybe you guys at home can probably guess the game that slipped in right at the last minute.
That's
we're
my
like,
number one.
okay, all right. They're like when it first came up, we're like, no, we're not talking about that game. But it's
Yeah.
It's
probably gonna be
everyone's
there, so,
number one.
put it on the anticipated list.
Better be there.
Better be there. Or what? Or what are you gonna do, man?
Go fly to Japan.
But we shall see. So we know Mr. Matt Blair will be greatly anticipating Tuesday morning the Nintendo Direct, the return of Star
Absolutely.
Fox. Thank you, Mr. Blair, for jumping in. So at the midpoint of the show, we are going to show a trailer. Not only a trailer, we're going to show what we call a badass trailer. And lots of E3 news popping up, this week before E3. So I was like, okay, I got lots of trailers to pick from. And then, bam! I love when I wake up first thing in the morning, and check check Twitter, and somebody's talking about a trailer. It's my favorite thing in the world. I'm like, oh, I can kick the day off by watching an awesome trailer. I kicked today off by watching the trailer for Ratchet and Clank. The game based on the movie, based on the game.
I love that
Which
franchise.
here at GameTrailers, I don't know if I can speak for the rest of my staff, but I'm obsessed with marketing, and I really love when companies will just come right out and recognize, like, we know our game is silly, like we know that this is ridiculous that we made a game and then we're making a movie and then we're releasing a game. It was like the Lego Movie game, and so I just love that they're not only totally upfront about that, but it says it right in the trailer. They're like, this is the game based on the movie, based on the game. It's a badass trailer. Check it out.
This is the story of a Lombax named Ratchet and his robot friend Clank and the muscular, irresistibly handsome hero who helped them save the galaxy.
Oh boy.
Just remember what I taught you.
What did you teach me? Let's try this baby out. Yes.
I thought it was time to get you a new run.
Locking on. Got him.
Are you ready to be a Galactic Ranger? We want you!
That's
there it is.
awesome.
That's a badass trailer.
Oh my god, yeah.
The trailer's pretty good. The trailer itself, it's tough. Not a lot of people isolate the trailer from the actual game. Like a lot of times, I'll diss a trailer, and people are like, "That game looks great." I'm like, "The game looks great," but I'm actually specifically talking about the piece of media. Trailer's pretty good, but boy, that game looks amazing. And I really like Really like the shot on the side when he's running and it just cycles through all these different environments. I think that's really powerful, you know, to showcase, like, you see all the different outfits he's in and all the things he's carrying. And, you know, we were talking about the backgrounds in Pip are so gorgeous, and it's just kind of fun to just take you know, you just get a second to just absorb everything and kind of wonder, like, where all those environments take place.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad that
Insomniac.
they,
You
I'm
know?
glad they do a lot of
Go ahead, no man.
they do a lot of gameplay shots in that trailer, and you know that's something that a lot of trailers now just don't do. They just show, you know, the cool cinematic parts, but you know, I like to see a lot of gameplay in my trailers.
They have Captain Quark at the end of the trailer. That was awesome too. I like that character.
The scripts are so good, yeah, and he leads a lot of the trailers. He's a he's a very trailer guy, you know, so it makes sense. So before we get into the Q&A at the end of the episode, I want to have a quick editorial segment. E3's next week, and you guys are no stranger to you know, going to big events and showing your game off at big events. Elise and I were talking before the show about how we checked out Pip at PSX, and that was one of our favorite games from the show. I think that was where your love for Pip began.
Oh yeah, that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, "What is this game?" And you guys were doing speed runs of it there, which I was not qualifying for. But you pitied me, and you still let me play, and I don't know why. I just
were awesome
I thought
at
it was
playing
really
it.
charming, and I love the mechanic of switching between resolutions. I think
Well,
it's
you
so
got
cool.
behind us right away. That was like really awesome too. So I mean, ever since like PlayStation Experience, we've been getting like a lot of good coverage and a lot of good press. So
Well, that's exactly what you want to have happen. You want, you know, one journalist to just kind of wander over, check the game out they've never heard of before. And I find that when I go to these big events, a lot of the independent games are the stories that I really take from the show. Because I go to the show, you know, like, okay, there's Evolve, there's Call of Duty, there's these things, okay, like there's Batman, there's Mortal Kombat. So like, oh, you know, Assassin's Creed, like, okay, I get to check in with these games I'm familiar with and then just kind of report on whether they are good or bad. But like, as a journalist, it's so much more fun to be like, you've never heard of this game before, and I'm going to tell you the story of this amazing game that just, you know, surfaced in my mind and now I'm totally obsessed with. But
we
you know,
love being that game.
it can't be easy to prep for these shows. So I just wonder kind of like how important these conventions are, you know, something like E3 coming up, like how important it is for an independent developer to be a part of it. Because, I mean, obviously, of course, you want to be there, but it is a huge time investment, a huge financial investment. Is it worth it? How long ahead of time do you plan for stuff like this?
For E3, like E3 is probably something that indies, like if you could get into like an Indiecade booth or something like that, then great. But if you are just trying to go by yourself, it's probably too expensive, and really you're not going to get noticed in the noise.
Let's get this man a glass of water. Matt Blair, returning to the stage
Awesome.
with a glass of water for Sharif.
Thank you. I think.
Sorry for the weird glass.
Oh, Mark just stole my water.
You guys can share it.
No, that's okay.
Choose wisely.
He has cooties. I'll pass. I'm fine with water. So no, I mean for E3, it's a tough one because you get lost in the noise with all the big announcements and everything. It's really a marketing event. It's not for us. It's like the things like PAX, you know, and for like Gamescom and this PSX was awesome for us too, because it's a lot more personal. You get to speak. Well, I guess the PSX one maybe not as much, but for PAX you get to speak with the people that are going to be buying your game and playing your game, and they're giving you feedback, and you're listening to that feedback, and then you go back to your hotel and you fix stuff, and then you go back the next day and they're back at your booth.
That's
and they're
crazy,
like,
crazy stuff.
hey, you changed that. Well, yeah, you know, you said something and it was right, you know, and they're like, whoa, that was awesome. So, and then you start to see that community start to build, and they just are so supportive and so loud too, and you're just like, wow, you know, those conventions are awesome for us. PSX was great too, because like we had Octodad right behind us, we had Shovel Knight right across from us. I mean, we had like the guys that were like looking at like daily going, ooh, we want that kind of success and stuff. But they were just right around us, giving us feedback on the games, playing it and playing each other's games and talking to you about it too. And it was awesome. So, thank you. This is all vodka.
Yeah.
This is not water.
But I think what's nice about those conventions is that the fans get to interact with developers and stuff like that, especially on the indie titles. One thing with E3, you don't really get that kind of thing unless you're press. I'm sure you guys get everything when you go there that even other people can't.
There's no way. There is no way to get everything at the show.
Oh, no way.
Like I've done E3 with
You don't
different
just hold the press
staffs and
badge
different
like
people
this?
and stuff like that. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you have a goal, you can get there and you can see that one thing. But there's 200 things to see, minimum at the show.
Yeah.
And there's things. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to an E3 where when the dust, settled at the end, we're like, oh, that was cool, and then we'll see, some other publication be like, hey, we got behind closed doors with this. And we're like, wait, what? How did that happen? Like, how on earth did we miss that?
And how do you not get invited? Like, how do you get on that list?
Right.
That special crazy press list.
How do people get on the PIP list? That's the big question. You can
man.
expect that question sometime in the next 20 minutes.
The PIP list? It's not easy to get on the PIP list.
So your
right?
game launches, and yet E3's next week. So what are you going to be doing at E3? What's your goal for your involvement with the show?
We got some follow-ups that we have to do. Obviously, like we have some announcements that will be showing up at E3. You'll probably stop by certain booths and get pictures of the game and stuff on different things. And I guess I shouldn't say too much, but
Please say too much. Please drink more vodka.
Say here, drink the vodka. Yes, the vodka. So no, I mean like there's some announcements about Pip, which will be good. But we were like, gosh, man, I think we're gonna get a booth. I think we're gonna get in a booth, and then at the last second, we were like not in the booth, and I was like, oh, why aren't we in the booth? They're like, sorry, and then I had dinner with Sean from Yacht Club yesterday, and I was like, dude, I thought we were gonna get in a booth, and he was like, dude, we're not even getting in a booth. I'm like, dude, you were Game of the Year last year for the Indies, so like I was like a little bit surprised about that one, but then I didn't feel bad that we didn't get in a booth, so.
I thought you were going to get in a booth at the end of the story. I was hanging on. I was like, but then he got in the booth.
But we didn't get in a booth.
Yeah, then
But
no credits.
get in a
You're not-
we were asked to like squat in other people's booths. That doesn't feel right. So it was like, we'll just go and enjoy the show, calm down a little bit from all the shipping. I look over at Kathy because Kathy has been.
I'm so determined to beat this game before it's over.
So yeah,
if you could beat it during the span of the show.
Don't be.
So we're actually, well, she was playing a little bit beforehand. So you started maybe like 20, 30 minutes before the show started?
Yeah,
yeah.
I gave Kathy a little head start too.
Okay, so she picked up a save that you had currently played. You played a little bit just to test it after you had
Yeah.
installed the game. How long is the game for somebody if they're just a Jedi at it? They just like totally bomb through, know where everything is.
I mean, you won't know that in your first playthrough, but if you're doing, your second, third playthrough, and you're a speedrunner and you're a pro at the game, maybe 2 hours. No.
Impossible to do it in 2 hours.
My
There's
best
no way
is
she
3.
couldn't do
3
it.
hours?
That was like during QA like minimum stuff too. That was just like ripping through it to
Like,
see
I
if you
gotta
could get to
this
the end.
bug. There's no cheats, so I'll just.
Are
So
you
she'd have to
fastest?
because you
Yeah.
don't put cheats to replicate certain issues. So that was the record, and that was insane too. I still don't believe it, but the fastest I've heard since we've gone live was 5 hours. So that's still a healthy chunk of gameplay.
record
We
has
used to
not
think
been
it
broken.
was 8 to 10 hours, and then
It is on your first playthrough.
yeah, that's probably true. But I mean, well, this one guy told me. Keep in mind, I haven't seen his save file or anything, but he said, "Yeah, I beat it in 5 hours." I'm like, "What? Really?" But he played the game at shows too, so he kind of knew some of it already. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the fastest, right? But if you're somebody like me, you'll probably spend like 12, 13, 14 hours.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Kathy.
Thanks.
2 hours minimum, and we've only been at it for maybe an hour 30, hour 40 by the end of the show. So we'll see. If you're close, let me know, and we'll extend the show a little bit. So we can, well, you want to spoil that? You don't want to show the last boss fight of the game here on GT
No, I
Live?
don't even show any of these bosses. Close your eyes.
Everybody, close your eyes. That's watching. I don't think that works on the show.
So yeah, to wrap up the show, Elise Williams will be joining us to talk about the questions. How were the questions today,
Yay.
Elise? Questions are always
A
pretty
ton
good.
of questions that I stopped kind of asking for questions.
Yeah,
Really?
shut up,
Like-
everybody, with the questions.
But yeah, so and a lot of them are actually like
Really good?
pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, let's answer all of them.
the-
That's great.
The first question is from a Pilot 21, and they want to know, with all of the pre-E3 announcements coming out in the last week, like there was Uncharted Collection, Ratchet and Clank today, there's
Fallout.
been Dark Souls rumors, everything. Do you feel developers are just trying to prevent leaks or one-up each other, or that E3 is just not as big a deal? Like getting your game out and getting it noticed a week before is more impactful than being part of the big like onslaught.
I think it's a very good point that there is a lot of noise around E3, right? And if you have so many big announcements, I don't know if I hit that microphone.
Only Ian knows, and everyone watching.
Ian's like, God, what the hell was that? Sorry, dude.
You didn't hit it.
I didn't hit it?
No,
Yet.
I felt
not
sponge.
bad anyway.
I was like, I think I touched the
It's
sponge.
probably just a little bit.
So I think that everybody tries to get the head start, so that the hype is built up into E3, and then once you're there, you're running to go to see Ratchet and Clank in the booth, because that's been the thing that you've been thinking about ever since the announcements were made. So it's really trying to get ahead of everybody, I think. So
I like to think of it like you're baking cookies, right? So your mom's baking cookies in the kitchen, and then you go in and taste a little cookie dough. You're like, oh, thanks, Mom, a little cookie dough. I can't wait for those cookies. It's like when the cookies come out of the oven, you're not gonna be like, I already had those cookies. You're gonna like run in because like, oh man, I know they're coming. She whet my appetite.
That was good, yeah.
What if the raw cookie dough makes you sick, Brandon?
Then it
gives you a
doesn't
stomach.
work. Then it doesn't work.
Then you better not announce it before E3. You better make sure that cookie. You better try that cookie
You're at
dough
E3,
yourself.
you see that
before.
cookie, it's like, oh, stay away
If
from
you're
it.
bringing bad cookie dough to E3, then you're pretty much out of the business.
Is there a story there, Elise?
No, there is. I wish.
There's like a dysentery thing happening. No, sorry, I de-evolved there.
This applies to you guys big time now since you're on Steam as well as Wii U. This is from Controller in Hand. How do you feel about the whole Steam refund thing? Are you guys aware of this?
2 hours of gameplay, it's like, that's a lot of time, to spend in a game to get a refund. But I think it just puts the pressure on us, to make sure that we can keep you engaged. So why not? I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's going to take people who are not serious out of and that's great. We should be giving you way more than 2 hours worth of gameplay. And if people play 2 hours and they've gotten their fill, then yeah, get a refund. But I guess it also depends on your price point too. Like, is it 2 hours for every price point? Because that's a little bit extreme. Like, if you charged me $340 for a game and I played it, and I played it for 2 hours, I probably got $3.40 worth of for 2 hours. So I'm not going to complain about it, but I could get that money back in this if I stop at like 1 hour and 59 and then get my refund.
Yeah.
Did I answer that?
It's a full refund?
Yeah, I think it's a full refund, right?
Yeah, I think so. But they police it. Like if you're abusing it and like you keep refunding games or whatever, they'll police it.
Okay.
They said.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll discourage like smaller indie devs from developing on Steam, knowing that their game could possibly be?
I would say it depends on how they police it.
Yeah.
That's the important part. Yeah, because that's my worry is that people just download, play 2 hours. Okay, I'm done with that.
And I think indie devs as a whole, we're crazy people, to be honest. Like, I think you have to be a little bit sick and you have to really believe that you're going to do something great. Even if you come up a little bit short, you still are like, dude, I gave it my best effort. I don't care. I don't think people would get discouraged. I think that they would still go for it. I think that they'll be more careful, and maybe too careful in some places, and maybe screw themselves up a little bit in the process. I'm going through all these scenarios in my head right now and talking about them out loud. Like, yeah, that guy would probably just totally be like, oh, I can't launch it yet. And then it'd be like, I'm out of business.
Or just like, a weird metric to add on to your potential success is how many, people
Possible
turned your
refunds.
game in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and should you make that first 2 hours like really crappy, so that way like all the reviews say, play past the first 2 hours. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it. Like,
No one's going to turn an RPG in, that's for sure. 'Cause they almost always have that.
This is from Shinezity. Pip was prominently featured in the most recent full Nintendo Direct.
Whoa,
Is
it
this true?
was. That was awesome,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
How did this come about? Was it a big get, or did Nintendo reach out to, were you guys going nuts when you saw that it was going to be in a Nintendo Direct?
I had no idea it was going to be a Nintendo Direct, but I did have a meeting with Nintendo at GDC, right beforehand, and Damon was like, I really like your game. And I was like, I really like you, Damon. You're kind of awesome. And then he kept, I'd email him and he'd email me back right away, and I was like, that's weird. He just emailed me back right away, and then he introduced me to everybody at Nintendo in emails, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about going up to Seattle. Can I go visit the headquarters up there? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, I still haven't gone to Seattle yet, but I will as soon as, now that we're shipped, yes, I will. But Dude, talk about support. Like when we led on Nintendo Direct for indies, I was like, holy crap. I was so excited. But yeah, that was more than I expected. I knew they were going to do something, but I didn't know that. That was like dream come true kind of stuff. So, and then
That's the nice part about doing it with Nintendo. You know, it's they really like to support their indies a lot. So
yeah,
it's cool.
and he said the same thing that we were saying in the office when I first met with him. He was like, I feel like this title is cut from Nintendo DNA. And I was like, that is
Like,
so weird. He like said it. Like he just said it.
Like DNA, the upcoming mobile project. What
No.
do you know?
I know nothing.
I'm kidding.
No, they're really, I don't know nothing. I know that it doesn't have Android in it, right? Wasn't that the big... Okay.
That's what Nikai says. Nikai says Android, right? Partnership with Nintendo.
It was like, no!
No, yeah.
They squashed that fast.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that.
I'm curious. We'll see.
This is from Emo Sabi. They want to know he wants to know if you found any unexpected results from the up-res and down-res of the character sprite. Like, I remember talking to you guys at PSX, and you had mentioned that I think you had toyed with doing like more than 3 pixel iterations. Like, did you just run into problems, or did you find that like this one thing didn't work with this one resolution?
That's a really good question. You guys ask really good questions. We had so many. How many do we have, Kathy?
We had like 7 at one point.
Good lord.
Wow.
And it was like,
What did this one do again?
Yeah.
it was like the pixel and then like 2 stages that didn't really have any new features to it, and then it would be the 8-bit one.
Yeah,
So it was kind of hard to tell players, oh, you're not quite there yet.
it's like, why did I evolve if I can't do
Yeah.
anything? So the animation is nice, but then it was like, so many of them, it got confusing, and it was like, forget it. Let's just simplify it down.
We really, like the basis of the idea was you kill enemies, you get pixels, you evolve. But the thing is that having so many stages of evolution, it's too convoluted for a player to understand what to do. So we pared it down to 3 and made sure that each one of those is really clear to understand. This one's light, this one's fast and agile, this one's strong and heavy. So every time you encounter something new like water, you'll know, I'll approach it, I'll experiment with these 3 evolutions in that sort of way.
Yeah. And we wanted it to really kind of stand like, oh, that guy's clearly heavy. That guy's clearly, we wanted to really make them feel different and have the play mechanics kind of resemble what the difference was between the 3. So, and then we also said, like, let's do, if we do another one in the future, then people are familiar with the mechanic and they're familiar with the pips, and then you could basically say, okay, we're going to introduce another evolution of it, but too much for the first one. So let's just keep it, to these 3 and really separate them.
I think we just got a little tease at Pip 2
Yeah.
right there.
I was like, well,
Yeah, there we go.
Pip in the
More vodka
city.
for you, sir.
And then it'll be 3D, and then it'll be like going into the Z-axis.
Adventures of Pip 2, Pip in the city.
Wow, Pip in the city. Is that like Babe?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That
It gets really dark.
I have to. This question's kind of similar to the last, but I have to ask it because it's really sweet. This is from RHD. He says, "Hi, Sharif. First off, I just wanted to say thanks for being nice and answering my questions at PAX South.
Aw.
I don't know if you remember me. I was the kid in the glasses, hoodie, and skinny. But
Gotta be
your-
more specific than that, I think.
But your game made my day at PAX.
Aw.
He wants to know what it's been like creating this game, and is there anything you had to cut early on because it was too hard to program or feasible time-wise? And that's kind of like but maybe there's other stuff that you guys had to cut that you
More
really
dirt.
wanted. Yeah, give us the goods.
More dirt.
More stuff that we cut. Who wants to get in on that one there?
I mean, I don't know about
Kathy?
cutting.
I cut something that everybody hated me for, which was the
For
cloud.
creating or for cutting?
I cut it. I actually cut it because I was like, we need to spend more time on the ones that we have, but it was a world. that
Yeah,
I
he cut an entire world.
I cut an entire world.
But
World
It
destroyer.
killed me to do that, but I was like, we need to spend more time with these other worlds and really fine tune
Yeah.
them before we try to add another world.
in the end, it was more about, hey, let's extend these existing worlds, make sure that those are solid, make sure we've got, all of the obstacles that we're introducing really tie into those characters rather than, okay, well, we should just put this in, maybe these things will work. Let's just
That was the hardest thing to probably cut. Yeah, I still have did I do the right thing moments on that one, you know? But you know, even now when I play these other levels, I'm like, you know, I love where we ended up, you know, and I think that there's just more room for us to keep adding to the world. It doesn't have to be in this one, you know, but it could be in an update.
I can tell you love this game because I don't think I've had two guests on GT Live that have spent more time just kind of like looking over. Like,
I do love.
Are you
looking
bug
at this-
testing or what's happening? You know, like,
I love looking at this environment too. I love those like jagged mountains in the background. They look like Vasquez rocks, like in the Star Trek movies and stuff like that.
Just making sure Kathy doesn't beat the game.
right?
Yeah.
We get one boss is too many. Pull the plug.
You better die, Kathy.
No, it's true. But this game has been a huge labor of love for us. I mean, we've wanted to make this game for what, 3 years, something like that. 3 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. So that's been yeah. Now it's out.
You done did it.
We done did it. So buy it. It's there for you now to buy, or at least put it on a wish list. When you're done playing Splatoon, you could download it.
There you go.
Do it.
This is from Ahab. Will Pip have alternate costumes like Scotty Pippen, Pip from South Park, Porky Pip, Pipper Potts, or Cat Pip Everdeen?
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Shovel Knight has a lot of.
Cat Pip Everdeen.
Oh my god.
That was like
Shovel
Candace. It took a
Knight's got
second. I
some
was
great
like,
DLC.
is that
Hunger
Cat?
Games.
You know.
Scottie Pippen.
Scotty
Scotty
Pippen's my
Pippen.
favorite.
With the ability to basically play basketball well, except for in the final.
Well, Scotty, he's a small guy, so like he, you know.
Scottie
So-
Pippen's a small guy. Isn't he like 6'10"?
I think he was small. I think that was his whole thing, right?
No, Scottie Pippen was.
Oh, Spud Webb. I'm thinking of Spud Webb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm Spud Webb
generation.
height.
Right.
Scotty Pippen.
Spud Webb
was-
was
yeah.
like 5'6" or something like that. I'm shorter than Spud Webb. Shoot, you can't tell with these chairs. It's so awesome. Okay, sorry, I digress.
Now
Digress.
for a real question. I was kidding. This is with the announcement of the Retro Magazine console. Are you interested in physical distribution and hardware coming back?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you know, I just got the link to that. What, 2-3 days ago, I think I got the link to it. So I'm really excited about that. Wait. I'm sorry. Can you ask a question again? I just started thinking about the hardware, and I was like, yeah, we really need to support that too.
Would you guys ever go to physical distribution on disc?
Oh,
If offered, no, I don't. I mean, that's your question.
it's well, yeah. Mark's like, I'm in. Mark's like, count me in. I'm like, you know what? Like, I think that's a dream for us. Like, that's something that we want to do for sure. It's just about the means of getting there. So yeah, I mean, we think about it all the time, but the barrier to entry there is a lot higher than digital distribution. You know, so that's one of the things that we have to consider. You know, is that there is a cost that gets associated with that. How much do you want to spend on manufacturing versus how much do you want to spend on the game? And for us, and this, especially at this point, it's like really spend everything on the game, you know, because that's what people are buying and that's the experience that they're going to have. And if the game is good, people will get it. You know, that's kind of where our focus is. And then we could think about those other things, you know, as the game succeeds, because, you know, if it works out, then the money will be there, you know, so that we could do the other stuff like, you know, physical disc, which would be cool. Which would be cool.
This is from Killingston. What do you say to the people who think that all games that come out now need to be so graphically intensive? I think that no matter what the game looks like, if the mechanics are great, I'll love it.
I agree. I mean, I think that visually it's, you know, there is certain charm, you know, a certain amount of charm, but I think that at the core we don't buy just the art, we buy the game, you know, and everything has to work together. I don't want to make it feel so minimal, you know. The art is important, the music is important, all these things working together is important, but that's what makes a game, right?
I think you know, the more you spend on graphics, the more you're afraid to experiment and really push the boundaries with gameplay.
Because if you do something minimal, you know, in terms of art, it could work for your gameplay too. If it's the right, you know, if it's the right thing for your design, and that's the thing that you have to do, is you have to make sure your design is supported, you know, by everything. You know, I don't think that people think of that. I think they started to go, oh, let's see how badass I can make this environment look, and you're like, wow, that's really badass, but now I'm falling through the world. What good is that? Did you test your collision? You know, did you make sure that the other pieces, the most important pieces, were fun? So if you didn't, then it's a bad experience for the player, no matter how good it looks. You know, so I think I answered the question. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
I always start to ramble and find myself going anywhere. Kathy's not here to regulate me. She'd be like, "Hey, where's the kick that usually comes with your rambling?" I'm like, I gotta kick myself now.
Me personally, I'm always like style over graphics is my motto pretty much. This is from Big Cat 4848. Maybe you
Final
can't.
question.
Maybe you can't answer this, but it'd be a great get for GT Live. Will Pip be on 3DS?
God, I almost did it right here, right? Like, for GT Live, why not? Let's say it here. Look, okay, I will say this much. I will say that, this is perfect for a handheld. I mean, it's made for handheld, really. It should be made for handheld. Why not, right? We love Nintendo.
No comment.
But, we also...
You have to look at the camera when you say that.
We love Nintendo. So, there's certain things that were announced and recently about Unity support for like 3DS or new 3DS, right? But we want to go if we go that route, we'll go wider. So I'm gonna shut up now. This is where Kathy would be pretty much hitting me over the head with a hammer, like, stop talking.
Good job. That wasn't even a question, right? You just threw that was an Elise Williams question, right?
Yeah, you
At least
just
3-1-1
typed that
says-
one in. Didn't you?
You heard it here first. No comment. That's it. Laptop closed.
Well, that is our show, guys. Really quick, I'm just going to talk to our audience and let them know stuff that they can see on GameTrailers.com this week. E3, man. We're going to be streaming all week during E3, starting Sunday night at 6 p.m. We will have a little pre-show, and then we will chat all the way through the Bethesda press conference and all of the press conferences throughout the week. Sunday, we're starting at 6. Monday, we're starting at 9. Tuesday, we're starting at 8. Wednesday, we're getting to sleep in a little bit. We're starting at 10 a.m. And then Thursday, we're starting again at 9. We have potentially more, but right now on my slate, I got EA, Divinity, Original Sins coming in to show off their console version. Guild Wars, Platinum Games, Square Enix, Disney, and Atlas are all going to be stopping by the stage. And you never know. We're still scheduling E3, so some people might pop into our schedule at the last minute. And as I mentioned, we're going to have the press conferences up. We're going to turn the volume down. So if you want to watch us and the press conferences at the same time, you can get our little Mystery Science Theater 3000 commentary during the press conferences. And then, of course, we'll have our pre-chat and our post-chat. GT Live will not be on next Wednesday. It'll be next Friday. So a week from this Friday, we will have a special big E3 wrap-up GT Live episode, and which I'm still currently booking, trying to get as many people. We'll be running. That's what I ask you to do, at least when you're at E3. Just like anybody, GT Live. Anybody want to come on? So if you want to be on GT Live, send me an email. Let me know.
That's what Mandatory Update should be. Just trying to get the stars
Right.
for
Yeah,
GT
that could
Live.
work. Yeah.
Right, Ian, you down? Okay, good. Ian's down. And as we mentioned before, top 10 anticipated games of E3 2015 is going to be this Friday on GameTrailers.com. Right now, we are doing a series called The Countdown to E3. We started it last week. Microsoft will be going up this evening, right as I leave the stage and go cut it. And then tomorrow, we will have a video for Sony. Friday, we'll have a video for everyone else that we haven't mentioned so far in our Countdown to E3 series. And we've been doing all sorts of Just Plays on a bunch of different games. One of them just went up for Adrift for Abzu, which is really great, from the art director of Journey, where you're just like swimming underwater and just grab onto a turtle and swim around with a turtle. Fantastic. I played it super early in the morning at Judges Week and was just like, very relaxing game. Ben Moore sat on Metal Gear Solid 5 news for like 3 weeks and could finally talk about it, and I played it at Judges Week, so I sat down with him. We chatted about how awesome MGS5 is. Did I say Metal Gear Solid 4?
No, you said 5.
Okay, sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. And because I can't go a week talking about Disney Infinity, Andrea Renee, who checked out the Inside Out playset and the movie, sat down with me to talk about all the crazy stuff that we've learned about Disney Infinity 3.0, which will be on our stage next week. And you guys are on our stage. Thank you so much. Thank you for playing through the game. So how far did you get? What do you think, like a completion percentage off the top of your head? What do you think?
I think I have about 20 minutes left.
No.
You'll have to buy the game and find out.
Castle.
I'm in Lava Force 6.
What? I don't know how you do it, girl.
Inconceivable.
Well, if you think you could beat Kathy in PAX Prime, she'll be there.
Nice.
Taking all challengers.
You can go and challenge Kathy. Thank you so much for sitting. Sorry to leave you there alone, all the way over on the couch playing the game. But you've just distracted all of us. We've been staring at this game the whole time.
I'm so sorry, by the way. I just keep going. I like
It's a beautiful
that
game.
It is
Don't
a
be
really
ashamed of your beautiful
Yeah.
games.
I
Proud.
love that. I just kept staring at it the whole time. It was like.
Thank you, Elise, for taking questions. Thank you, Ian, for being on the TriCaster. And Mark and Sharif, thank you so much
you.
for coming in and
Thank
talking
you.
about Adventures
And
in Pip.
Kathy Camacho, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for playing the game
Killed it.
masterfully. You guys can check out the game on the Wii U and on Steam. Right now, it just came out, and you can check out our E3 coverage starting Sunday at 6 p.m. right here, twitch.tv/GameTrailers, and another GT Live a week from this Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you then.